These first two poems are both in the voices of 19th century women who were aggrieved. They felt very put upon in their marriages. They were very forbearing. And because, partly, I suppose, because they were married to illustrious men. The first such woman is Jane Carlyle, who was married to Thomas Carlyle, the noted 19th century scholar and author. And Jane, the poem is called Jane Carlyle Laments. The epigraph is from Phyllis Rose. She felt like an animate suitcase with his name on it. My suitcase emptied hours ago. I want an occupation. In the wardrobe, my few dresses, except the one laid out to wear to dinner. A whiff of lavender. I was fond once of this ivory cameo, memento of another life, when I was just a girl, witty, companionable, and counting the months between Mr. Carlyle's letters. Clever, I believe I was. Father used to urge me, "Write, lass," and I delighted in it. I took him my novel, and the next year brought my 5-act tragedy to his discerning eye. At home in Haddington, nothing pleased him more. All Scotland shall know of Jane Bailey Welsh. Mother reveled in other prospects, counting the suitors for their heiress. Even after Papa died, I flourished as fire thrives on air. Some said I was flirtatious. And yes, I ignited sparks and shook some embers while I awaited letters from Mr. Carlyle. Not I, but Thomas now, Mr. Carlyle, the cynosure of gazes. He displays his ebony intellect, polished to a gloss for Lady Ashburton's coterie. Let him. Let these stagnant days, these sterile nights, be my reward for shushing a rooster's cock-a-doodle-doo, my diplomacy with our neighbor who kept backyard hens, and my husband raging in the dawn, stomping. I shuddered in my bed. I envy a rooster as much as I despise forbearing hens, but Thomas must have his sleep. I based my argument on Mr. Carlyle's weighty contribution to the world and got that woman to shut the rooster up inside the house while Thomas and I enjoyed a brief reprieve, buttering our toast, inhaling the fragrance of our morning tea. Yet still it seemed that Thomas could not work. Trains shook the house, their whistles screaming, vendors squawked and yodeled, the soundproof room we built upstairs a sham. Now, there's the bell. We're summoned to Harriet Ashburton's drawing room for sherry. What do I want with cordials? Jane is not Jane without her words. Could I but puff my chest and crow a little? Let Thomas read and scribble in the radiance of Lady Ashburton's smile. I shall pen my thoughts in this dim light. "23 February. I snatch an hour to write, dear husband, regretting that so poor and hasty an epistle must reach your eyes. I mean to amend my ways. Your son Eddie crows beneath the table, making sentries of clothespins a tower of measuring cups. From the comfort of my lap, our Edith helps me write. Henry entertained us yesterday with bird calls rendered on his flute, transforming our parlor into a forest glen. He promises a letter in this packet. Last night's snow weighs down the fir tree branches, glorious with their burden. I dreamt then of meeting Ellen when you and I had gone to heaven. I could do naught but go away, leaving you with her. Waldo, I covet the deep bell of your voice from the study, Yet I cannot begrudge the words you tender others from the podium. I sign myself Lydian, your affectionate wife and mother of your children. 2nd of June. To catch time on the wing, I put my pen to paper. Even so, your weeks at home fly by more swiftly than each hour that you are absent. Our dear Elizabeth arrived this morning, pleasing Mother with some new lettuce and a jar of berry conserve. Our Edith halts her play to fetch her grandma's ball of wool or thimble. This afternoon, she stopped to wash her face before presenting herself at dinner. Waldo, dearest friend, if you could only see the children daily, I think you would approve their God-given wisdom. Ellen chided me this morning when I complained that I should die if she would not stop fretting. No, Mother, you will not. I blush reporting this. Your favorite plum trees set with fruit, not numerous but promising. I tender my devotion as your wife, Lydian, your second wife, the mother of your children. The poem must use 3 lights. Avoid the moon and stars, if possible, the lighthouse beam, the firefly. Avoid the lighted clock face in a tower. Incorporate the bathroom nightlight or a glowing cigarette, for instance, a miner's lamp, a Bunsen burner. These lights must end the first lines of the poem's 3 stanzas. Weave in an allusion to Italian opera or to a martyred saint, her eyes poked out, or to a girl with candles in her crown. Incorporate a reference to the scientific method or to a famous experiment of science. The poem must enact conflict and embody strife, but not entirely avoid a closure. Light must go to bed with darkness, roll around with it, tangle in its embrace. It must be pierced and shattered, scatter and all but disperse. Do not try to avoid the masculine-feminine allusion, spark and tinder of the human quarrel. The point is for the poem to come to resolution not naked but still clinging to a scrap of clothing. It must collapse then into a chaos of order, like the lightless tank from which occasionally a neutrino traveling incognito from the sun is intercepted with a little flash. Thank you.